And we said, well, if you're really having such profound problems, what month is it? Or I think it was like, what year is it? Or something like that. And she couldn't recall. She couldn't recall what the month was. And she started to cry. And at that point for me, that's when I knew that something was really wrong and that I needed to step in. Because, when you're sick, that's a really scary place to be. It could be frustrating. It could be confusing. And, when you're in these doctor's offices and they're, oftentimes they don't have the best bedside manner and they run a battery of esoteric tests, it can be incredibly overwhelming and it becomes really hard to advocate for yourself, I've learned, as somebody with a chronic illness, not least of which a chronic illness that's affecting your cognition. And so I decided at that point, essentially that I had to pack up my LA life. I moved back to New York and I started going with my mom from doctor's visit to doctor's visit. And again, I'm pretty privileged, grew up in New York City. My mom had health insurance, resources. We started going, to all of these different cathedrals to Western medicine, academic medical insight. And in every instance, I experienced what I've come to call over time, diagnose and adios. A physician would, run these tests, titrate up the dose of a medication that she was already on. One physician actually thought that all of her symptoms were due to depression, right? There's this idea of the hysterical woman. Today, 1 in 4 women over the age of 40 are on an antidepressant drug, So
1 in 4?
Yeah, over the age of 40.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I'm not saying there's no use for them, those kinds of drugs, but
Right.
they're very overprescribed. That's not, I don't think that's controversial. And so my mom was given one of these drugs without full informed consent, I don't think. Ultimately we tried to get her off of them, which we found out was incredibly difficult to do. Titrating off one of these SSRIs is really, really hard, actually. And it turned out obviously to be the case that that these symptoms were not due to depression.